Hi, cake lovers! I'm Alexis. I'm a baker at the Cake Art vs. Reality, and today I'll be translating a podcast I made with Ricardo about Darksiders, released in 2010 and made by Nordic Games and many other studios that I don't remember right now. Sorry. This is the first podcast from the cake. Yay! So if you have any comments or suggestions, please let us know and write them on the comment section below. We made this first podcast in Spanish, so that's why I'm translating it. I'm sorry for my English. I know it's not perfect, so I'm gonna commit a lot of grammar mistakes and pronunciation mistakes, and probably I'm gonna stutter a lot, so I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope you like it. We hope you like it. We are the coordinators of the video game section, so we put a lot of thought into this. So our original idea was to make a podcast that lasted around 15 minutes, but we ended up talking for like 40 minutes or so. So this is gonna be more of a brief than a literal translation of what we said. I noticed that I laugh a lot, so I'm gonna work on that because I don't know if you will find that annoying. Sorry. See, I can't stop. Okay, sorry. Now, we didn't spoil anything important. We are not gonna spoil the end. I'm just gonna say that it is amazing. So you should, if you are playing it, you should play it till the end. It has an amazing cliffhanger, so please play it till the end and finish it. Now, about the story. This is a story of war, and anti-hero, he's one of the horsemen, and he comes to Earth. In this story, instead of having the seven angels that have seven trumpets and play them to call the horsemen, causing the apocalypse, there are seven seals that must be broken. However, war comes to Earth thinking that the seven seals have been broken. But that's not true. Only 6 of them were broken. Or is completely sure that all the seals are broken. So he feels like he's entitled to do his job, right? But the problem is that is seen by the angels and the demons as some kind of provocation. So they start a war on Earth. And obviously they are super powerful and humans aren't, so humanity is doomed and everyone dies. There is a council called the Charred Council, and that its main job is to maintain the balance between the 3 worlds. So they decide to start a trial against War that died killed by one of the demons, and they decide that he is guilty, so they torture him for around 100 years until he convinces them to repair the consequences of his actions, and he also says that he wants to prove that he's not guilty. The council then says, okay, you can go back to Earth, and but you have to have this tutor that is gonna be supervising you and will make sure that you don't do anything weird, because we have our doubts and we think that you're a traitor, but okay, we're gonna give you one chance. War comes back to Earth, and he starts his journey to prove his innocence, but also to get his vengeance. I'm gonna stop there because I really don't want to spoil anything about this story. But that's mainly the idea behind Darksiders and its world. The graphics of this game are realist. That kind of style doesn't age very well. Still, for 2010, it's not really that bad. However, there is something disturbing around the design of War. I think that it looks like a 3D model, but specifically it looks like a shiny red toy. Particularly in the beginning, it looks like a robot or a transformer. I don't know. And it's weird to see it in this apocalyptic dusty world that is kind of realistic, and then you have this, I don't know, 3D model that looks completely out of place. But I really didn't mind for long, because then I started having so much fun playing it. Ricardo didn't notice this until I told him about this, and then he started finding it really weird as well. But eventually you get different armor, so it blends a little bit better with environment. We both agreed that the final armor that makes you almost invincible is not really that good looking. It's just black, so they could have put a lot more effort into it. Still, you become almost invincible, and basically fighting the final boss with that is, I don't know, it's pretty easy to beat him. I think I spent like 20 seconds on that battle, and then it was the end, which, as I already said, was amazing. So part of me regrets of not going to fight him before finding all the parts of that armor. It becomes a little bit like Breath of the Wild, when you have all the beasts and you also have the Master Sword, and Ganon is super easy to beat. So yeah, I find that, I mean, it's consistent with the story in the end, because you are the one of the horsemen, so you're supposed to defeat everyone, right? Anyway, this story, I think it's flashy because humans tend to like the idea of the apocalypse. We tend to find it interesting. And I don't think there are a lot of plot holes or anything weird happening on the plot, so that's a big plus. But the real star of the game is not so much the story, which is good. It's more about the mechanics. Why? Because it just melds and merges a lot of different mechanics from different video games, different type of video games genres, and I don't know, popular mechanics. There's a little bit of Portal, because you can use portals. That's like pretty obvious. But you can also slash, and that makes a lot of sense, because war is basically a rock, right? It's something that annihilates. So you are not really that agile. So you basically go destroying everything. And that makes sense. I mean, war is dead, right? War never changes. That is particularly important, because we are gonna talk about that on our next podcast, that is gonna be about Darksiders 2, so don't miss it. There is a little bit of Zelda in the dungeons. It's also a little bit like God of War. The world is very limited. It's almost like God of War or Bioshock, that it's basically a large pipeline. But still, they managed to make the world feel way bigger, because you can return and you can look for collectibles, and those are pretty fun. The dungeons are equilibrated. We think this game is better than Zelda in some things, because in Zelda you usually get this special object or item and every dungeon, and you use it there, and then you never use it again, or it's almost useless outside that specific dungeon. The level of difficulty is, I think it is good. With the logic problems you have to solve, they are not that hard, but they are not that easy. So you feel like, oh, this is super dumb. Why am I playing this? This is boring. I think they have a nice level of difficulty. Sometimes you have to think a little bit, but you feel proud at the end of solving stuff, right? And I think that's important in video games. Of course, sometimes we want a little bit of frustration, but sometimes it's a little bit too much, right? Said that this game is about fun. Um, I've been playing Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, and the story is so dense, and the mechanics are, I don't know, a little bit weird. So sometimes I need a break. But this game, you can play it for hours and you're gonna still have fun. It is not a long game. I think we played it for around 20 hours, and I got almost all the collectibles. Something important is that there is a horde seeker that is kind of a compass, so you can find the chests and the dungeons, and there's also a map. That's important because I didn't know. I think I for some reason I skipped that explanation or something. So for me, it was a little bit frustrating, but also fun to find every chest in the dungeons. I realized I could find the map and the horde seeker until I was like 75% into the game, through the game. Like it was absurd. Also, since I'm an explorer, I always tried to find things, but I didn't have the powers or the tools necessary to get everything. So I spent hours trying to get things that I couldn't get. Still, I was there trying for hours. So if you're an explorer, please stop. If you don't get it on your second try, just continue. That's my advice. I didn't get all the achievements. Sorry. I feel a little bit guilty and my Steam looks so awful. But it's just that some achievements are ridiculous. At some point, you get your horse that also comes from nowhere. They are not really good introducing stuff. Or characters, and that's also important in Darksiders too. But you get your horse, and one of the achievements is to ride, I don't know how many kilometers or miles, whatever. And it's just so frustrating because riding your horse is really, really fun. You become this super powerful creature, and it makes sense, right? You're a horseman. But in the end, there is a very limited space that is not really that interesting, right? And it's very limited. Like the whole problem of this game in reality is that the space is quite restrictive, but it's fine. Like you get used to it, and once you start understanding the mechanics, you have a blast. The music is not really memorable, but I think it's good in the sense that it helps with the atmosphere, and also it helps so you don't get distracted, and that's really important in a video game, particularly in this kind of video game where you have to pay attention to your surroundings. So collectibles are fun because you really have to pay attention to details so you don't miss them. There are places where you can find a tiny spot that reveal that you can put a portal there, or you can escalate something. Like it's all about paying attention. About the bosses, well, I think we both like that you don't just go and hit them until they are dead. You have to use your skills. It's a little bit also like Zelda and God of War in that sense. So you have to, take your time and not just go for it. And that's important because then you have to work on a strategy and pay attention to the skills of your opponent, right? There are two memorable characters. One is Vulgrim. He is a demon that is basically a merchant, and he sells things from power-ups, powers, or even weapons in exchange of souls. And something that is funny that I didn't mention in the podcast is that even tables and weird normal objects have souls. That's pretty funny. Something that I also forgot to mention was that I was trying to find the super rare object in the end because I became so frustrated with finding the chest, and I was angry. I was saying, like, if this is a game where collectibles are really hard to find, why can't you just get an object or an item, or buy an item that shows the location of everything? uh, so I googled it. I don't really google stuff in video games, but since I found that to be pretty annoying, I googled it and I found that there was one. There is a secret chest that you cannot find on the map, and the dungeon where you find the portal skill, and that makes everything so easy. So basically, this game is about getting the right item, and everything becomes easy, but it's still fun. To be honest, the first bosses are harder than the last ones. So if in the beginning you cannot beat them, don't worry. Eventually everything is gonna become way easier. So don't worry if at first you can't defeat them. Oh, another character that is pretty funny is this guy called Wicked Kid or something like that. He's a British guy, a British skeleton that just appears out of nowhere, and he just wants to fight you for fun. It's something really weird. He comes out of nowhere. It's super random, but it's random and it's funny for some reason. So it's one of those characters that you will remember forever. It's something really funny. It is in secret locations or sometimes in locations you have already been. So it's always important to go back to certain stages and investigate and walk around looking for stuff. I think with that, almost everything is covered. I don't have the text, so I don't really know what we said. But this is what I remember. To sum up, Ricardo and I recommend this video game. You have to keep in mind that this game is not gonna change your life, but it's fun. And sometimes you just want to have fun, right? Again, I'm sorry if there are words that I'm mispronouncing. And well, I guess that's it. Please leave your comments and share. And see you in the next podcast. That is gonna be about Darksiders 2. So, bye, cake lovers. See you soon. P.S. IGN sucks so hard because if you are trying to get the location of the collectibles, they don't have a map. You have to read the entire guide. That's so awful. Why? Anyway, bye.